guys, welcome back to the Sewcial Hour Podcast, a podcast for sewists by sewists. I'm your host, Bethany.
And I'm Audra. And today we're talking about creativity and anxiety. April is Stress Awareness Month, and we thought this would be a perfect topic to kick off on April 1st to really talk about how we have stress in our lives, which is real, and then also how creativity can actually help combat that stress and anxiety in our lives.
Oh my goodness. This is a hot topic for me right now.
It's very sensitive for you right now. The water is high for you right now.
So sensitive. And it's so high that and you guys know I'm not a crier. But I even told her before we hit record today that I might cry today.
And you are in a safe space to do so.
I appreciate that. It takes a lot for me to cry. I'm an emotional person, but I'm not a crier.
Oh, I am absolutely a crier. I cry at commercials.
I don't. I'm not one of those people. And I've always kind of felt is there something wrong with me or, something like that. But then I'm but let me tell you, my biggest triggers would be if something has to do with my son. Instantly, mama bear, and I get emotional into tears.
Sure.
If it's there's certain things if I see certain videos that will get me, people coming home from their service in the military and seeing their kids for the first time in a year and stuff like that. I can't watch those videos. They get me every time. Stuff like that. The emotional family connection gets me. But if it's in a movie or a TV show, I know it's not real, so I don't connect with it the same. But if it's a reality in the sense of someone posted it on social media and it's their real life, it gets me.
Yeah,
every time.
Yeah. Well, I pretty much almost cried at a choir concert last night just because I thought it was cute. So I'm absolutely a crier, and it's a thing. So for those of you who maybe are just joining us, maybe didn't do episode 1 and 2, we start off with we tee up the episode. We're going to start off with an icebreaker, and then we're going to go into our topic, and then we've got a little segment. So hang with us because there's different chapters to our podcast here.
This is a new flow if you've listened before. It's a new flow. You'll get the hang of it, but we just are taking some time to kind of give you the layout until it becomes routine. But we have a Facebook group called the Sewcial Sewists. We would love for you to hop over there and hang out with us. What we're doing is every week when we have a new episode, we'll drop a new thread, essentially, a new post in that Facebook group, and we comment under that post about the episode. We'd love your feedback. We'd love your questions, and we'd love for you to, answer the icebreakers we do, or share your you love to see it and those kind of things, or your sewing tips. And it's a way for us to really connect with you in a more personal level, and be engaging. So hop on over there, subscribe. Ask to join our Sewcial Sewist Facebook group. If you need help finding it, just go to the Sewcial Hour Facebook page, and we'll link it in the description of this episode as well. But let's start out with our first icebreaker for the day, and that is, what do you watch or listen to while sewing, if anything? Some people don't want that, as they consider it a distraction. Some people need it. What do you do?
Okay, well, I can't sew in silence. I have to have something in the background. And this is it has to be something that I am familiar with, because I can't watch anything new. I love watching documentaries, etc., but it can't be something that requires my attention. It's got to be something that's just kind of familiar. So judge as you will, but it's either probably Harry Potter, any of the Harry Potter movies, or alien horror. So
that's really specific.
I know. I love the Alien franchise. I know every single movie in the Alien franchise. So chances are it's something in the Alien franchise. Maybe it's The Thing, Kurt Russell, circa early 80s. It's got to be something that requires zero attention, but is entertaining. And I'll be sitting here sewing and I'll be nope, you're going to die. That's a bad move. Nope, you're going to die. So like for those, I know there's a lot of like true crime lovers that do like true crime audio. So I just do like alien horror visual. So judge as you will.
That's really specific. I will also tell you that I've seen 0 alien movies.
I love the alien movies.
I just
Sigourney
I don't
Weaver
like,
for the win every
I
time.
just don't like alien movies. I love
You
space
love space
movies.
though. I love sci-fi. I love space. I love fantasy. I love all that. There's really not much I don't enjoy watching, but for some reason when I'm sewing, I think it's just because like requires 0 attention.
So what I like to do is audiobooks. A lot of audiobooks.
Yeah. See, I would love to, but again, that requires my attention. So I need something that like doesn't require my attention. Because if I'm like reading patterns.
Yeah. Well, yes. Like if I need to focus on something, I'll pause the book. But when I get into the groove of sewing, or especially if I'm quilting, I'm doing a lot of the same stuff, or I'm just cutting out patterns that I've cut out before with my projector, like there's a lot of like the things that are just comfortable in my space that I do on a regular basis. That's when I have the book on. If I need to pause it for a little bit to focus on the steps for a new pattern or something, I will. Sometimes I'll turn on some music in the background. I'll ask my Alexa to say, play something. It just kind of depends on my mood. I always light a candle or something. So, I'm creating like an environment that makes me want to be in it. Sometimes I dim the lights. If I'm just sitting at my machine that's pretty bright, then, I can kind of dim the rest of the lights in my room to really, especially at night, to really enjoy the ambiance. Or if I'm using my projector, I definitely turn the lights off and light a candle, and it's like the whole mood. But I don't know. I like to, it's truly a day by day vibe.
Yeah. Well,
a day by day vibe.
I think we need to have an upcoming episode on projector sewing. Because I am not set up with projector sewing, and
I know
I really need to be, and I'm not sure where to start. And I know you love it, so we're gonna put a pin in that for a future episode, and we can talk all things projector sewing.
Well,
so
I mean, when I come and visit you,
we could do like a whole conversation about like how to set up your projector.
Oh no, we're gonna set it up.
Okay, all right. I guess I need to do some shopping before you get here.
Yeah, no, like we're gonna get you set up, and then we'll talk about it.
Let's do it.
Because I wish I had someone that had come and like lit a fire under me, and my projector sat in the box for like months and months, almost a year maybe. And I got to my breaking point with putting together like 100 and something page PDF pattern, and it took me 3 hours, and it would have taken me 45 minutes to sew this pattern. But it took me 3 hours to put the freaking pieces together. So I was like, I'm not doing that again.
Well, that was me earlier this week.
That was my breaking point.
Yeah, I was like taping together a pattern, and I'm like, this pattern, I literally could cut in half the time it's taking me to.
Oh, a quarter of the time.
Okay.
A quarter.
So we got to keep moving.
April is Stress Awareness Month. May is Mental Health Month. They're back to back. We should start talking about this stuff. It's a real thing. I mean, I find sewing to be very therapeutic. So
yeah, and I think it's creating. I have this as like the homepage on my website. Creativity builds confidence, and I feel so passionately about that. That if someone realizes that you can take something from your mind and bring it to life, and the confidence that builds, I think is so powerful. So it's something that in our family, my grandfather had a term for it. He called it the Church of Hand and Mind. And it was this space that you could go, and you knew it was kind of like honoring that creative path from like hand and mind and that connection. So I used to have the hashtag Church of Hand and Mind all the time. And then I was worried someone would think it was like an actual religion of some kind.
Starting a cult,
a creative cult. But
I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to that.
Yeah, it's the power of creating. And I really feel strongly, I think we think that because we're stressed that we can't actually make time to create. Like, oh my God, I'm so stressed. There's no way I can be creative. Whatever your creative outlet is, whether it's drawing or painting or sewing, crocheting, knitting, you name it. I think we think like, oh my God, I'm so stressed. I have no room for creativity. When the reality is that is the ideal time to create, because
Yeah.
it's the power of just even 10 minutes. 10 minutes to sit and write, 10 minutes to cut a project, 10 minutes to paint, 10 minutes to draw. The power of 10 minutes to reset and remind yourself that there's something outside of whatever that current stress is, whatever that current anxiety is. And we think that that anxiety blocks creativity. And I'm pulling this from Mel Robbins, who is incredible, but that we think that that anxiety blocks creativity, but creativity actually will help combat anxiety, because it takes you
out of the rut.
Exactly. It takes you out of that stress moment. And I just feel so strongly about that, of just taking you out of that like nest of stress that you're sitting in and going like, okay, wait a second. Let's just take a breath. Let's find that creative energy, and then let's re-engage. And I think that is so powerful, of being aware of what is triggering us and how to step out of that trigger.
Totally. I mean, we all fall victim to it. And I think one of the things that I do to myself, and I'm currently doing it, so I'm calling myself out right now, is saying things like, well, if I can just get through this, if I can just get through this, like I had, some big projects at work. If I can just get through that, I'll be fine. But it's just piling and piling and piling up. And so by the time you do get through it, you crash. And when you crash, you can't be creative. Like, there's nothing left. You have exhausted all mental capacity to function and just do the basics, right? Of eating and laundry and family time. Like, it's a hard balance. We put so much pressure and stress on ourselves, and we're our own worst enemies when it comes to it. And I'm always like, oh, work-life balance. I've always preached that. I could not be further from work-life balance right now. And that is just my reality. And who put herself there? I mean, granted, it's my job, but at the same time, I have my own things that I do on my own end that are making me feel more stressed, because I'm not getting to do them as much. And I know it's a season and it will ebb and flow, but I also have a voice. I could have prevented this, if I just stood up for myself. But it can happen and snowball and catch up to you really quickly. And that is the other. Sometimes you don't think it'll get to the point that it has, and it can get worse. So, it's just staying in tune. I think for me, one of the benefits I've had lately is being able to message you and say, I need to vent. This is where those voice messages in the DMs come in play. And I'm like, I need to vent. I just need to get this off my chest, or this is what I'm dealing with. And I don't have to tell you every day, but every day you'll message me and be like, just checking in. How's the stress today? Or how are you feeling today? Or do we need to postpone recording podcast stuff? I don't want to add more to your plate. And I love that you think to ask me that. Because I can honestly say, like, most people don't think to ask other people how they're doing, or if they need space or time to process it. Like, most people just don't proactively do that. It means a lot to me that you do.
That's what friends do.
Truthfully, because most people don't take the time to check in with other people. There's always kind of like so focused on themselves, because we all have so much going on. I'm not calling anybody out. I'm guilty as well, but it's just human nature. Yeah. And so I think having someone like an Audra, you can't have my Audra, but like an Audra,
I should create my own sewing hot. You've got your sewing hotline. I'll have the creative check-in hotline. Like, how you doing?
Just self-help, meditative, yoga sessions with Audra. Meditation with Audra, and it's just like the hum of a sewing machine, or the sound of the steam coming out of an iron, like,
yeah,
like all of that. Anyways, I feel like people need an accountability person. So if you are a sewist and you find that to be your stress reliever, then you need to find someone else who also enjoys sewing that can encourage together this goes two ways. Encourage each other to prioritize that by talking about it, sharing ideas. What are you working on this weekend? Hey, did you cut that out? Like, let's sew up this together. Those kind of things. Like, I think that's why I love my monthly sewing club so much, because it's my one time every month that I know without a doubt I'm going to get to sew for fun. I get to sew whatever the hell Bethany wants to frickin' sew. And when you work in the industry and then you also have a brand that you've created in the industry and you do content for other brands in this industry, it can very much feel like work all the time. And it's still fun. Don't get me wrong. I am not complaining, but you don't always get to choose what you want to make, right? But when you finally get that moment too, you're like, I don't even know what to do. I'm so excited. What should I make? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, no, and
it's just, it can be a lot. But everybody needs that accountability, truly.
Yeah. Well, and you thank you for the segue into what I was about to say. You teed it up perfectly.
Thanks.
When we have a creative outlet that somehow becomes not a creative outlet, and I'll give an example. So like sewing has always been my happy place. And there was a point in my career that I was doing so much sewing and so much production work that it wasn't my outlet anymore. It was truly just straight up work. It was purely straight up work. And so it took me a second, because then I just started baking all the time. And I think it was like maybe a month into this consistent baking, and Dave was like, what is happening? He's like, you need to stop, because I'm just gaining weight. Because I was like making like bread and cookies and cakes. I was just like
it's
baking.
It's never anything healthy.
It's never anything healthy. So I just started like baking, and it finally dawned on me that I had started baking because my normal creative outlet had become blocked. So it was like all of a sudden a new arm of creativity broke off.
You had to get it out of me.
I had to get it out of me somehow. So I just started baking. So
and it came out in
cookies. And I think we reckon, and there's nothing wrong with it, but I think we just need to recognize that of like, okay, if I am stressed in this area or this creative outlet is no longer causing me joy, you might need to off ramp somewhere else temporarily to fill that cup. So maybe you really love knitting hats, but now it's like Christmas season and you're knitting a boatload of hats for people, and it becomes work, air quote work. And then maybe you need to like do some writing. Maybe you need to doodle at night. Maybe you need to just find something else to fill that creative cup when that creative outlet is actually starting to cause you stress or anxiety. Like embrace the temporary shift to something else and then come back when you feel ready. And we all have those, like you said, it's seasons. We all have those seasons.
Do you feel like this is the culprit as to why a creative person doesn't just dabble in one type of craft?
Oh, absolutely. Because I think everything adds together, and like sometimes those mix perfectly. So say you like to paint and you like to sew, and then you can paint on fabric of the things you make. Mm-hmm. You can totally pull those together. But I do think that's why we dabble, because sometimes, and even in sewing, think about sewing alone. You can quilt, you can embroider, you can make apparel, you can make bags, you can do fiber art, you could embroidery. Yeah. You could do hand embroidery, machine embroidery, like you could cross stitch, you could English paper piece. There's so many different lanes in sewing alone. And people kind of shift back and forth depending on their season. Maybe they're traveling a lot, so they're doing English paper piecing. Maybe they've got kids, so they're super into apparel sewing. Maybe they've got, this fabric they really want to make a quilt out of. I think we dabble because it constantly keeps our tanks full.
Well, and we also if once you start doing the same thing over and over, you get burnt out and you want to challenge yourself to learn something new. And so when I had my bandana business, I loved it. Mm-hmm. But after making triangle-shaped bandanas for 4.5 years and sewing tens of thousands of them up.
It was work.
By myself.
It was work.
And doing shows and running the business and posting on Etsy and all the photography. It gets to the point where you're like, I don't want to see another dog bandana for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
I am done. I have a whole tub up there full of bandanas that I have never sold, and I don't even want to like take them to be done. I don't even want to touch it.
Yeah.
I'm so I loved it. It had its season though.
Yep, it has a season.
It had its season, but it also led me to a career in this industry because of me sharing and posting and teaching and all of that, and creating and running a business. It led me to my job as singer, which we've talked about. So it's had its season, but it couldn't be in the same season as my next step. And sometimes we want to hold on to those things longer than we should. And you have to learn when to let it go, because it created a lot of additional stress that last year, trying to feeling this guilt that I needed to keep it up, feeling this guilt that I was letting people down, feeling this guilt that, I wasn't doing all the shows anymore, feeling this guilt that I wasn't earning this extra income. But I now had a job that was covering that. Like I didn't need it anymore. And it was just like, I just needed to accept it. But when you put so much time and effort and energy into it, it's kind of hard to let it go, especially when you name it after your dog and your dog's your business partner and you had so much fun. It really was fun, but it got to a point where it wasn't. And so people just need to know when to like walk away from something or take a break. So speaking of getting into other crafts, this is why I started to teach myself how to crochet, because I started traveling more and I needed something to do on the plane. So the little Woobles kits were wonderful to teach me how to crochet. And I could do a whole Wooble on a 2-hour flight. I loved it. So yeah, we dabble into all sorts of things. Yeah. And I think that is because we just need to shift focus for a little bit. Do you ever feel like you get too many crafts and then you feel overwhelmed by having too many options?
Yeah. We're just going to say yes and leave it there.
Was that a loaded question?
That was like, yeah. I mean, like that could be a whole nother I think that's a whole nother episode too, talking about like balancing all your creative hobbies, because we got to move on to Spool School. So,
ooh, okay.
But I want to wrap this up because I have homework for our listeners. Here's my homework for our listeners. My homework for our listeners this month of April, that is stress awareness, is embrace the 10 minutes. Don't discount the power of 10 minutes. Even whether you're stressed or not, if you have 10 minutes and you're like, oh, there's no way I can actually get anything done, you absolutely can. There's so much you can do in 10 minutes of creativity, whether it's picking up fabrics for a new project, cutting something out, sitting and crocheting, doing a little doodle, whatever it is. Do not underestimate the power of 10 minutes, and post in our Facebook group what you did with your 10 minutes.
Can I give a tip real quick? 2 things. Your 10 minutes, the only way you're going to prioritize that is to put it on your calendar. If you use a calendar, like I block time on my calendar to get stuff done. Or set an alarm on your phone for whatever time works for you. In the middle of the day, before you start your day, at the end, right after you finish your workday, set an alarm for that 10 minutes and set the timer. So when that 10 minutes is up, like I only have 10 minutes. You don't have to worry about when that alarm goes off that, I'm accidentally going to make it 30 minutes and waste time. No, 10 minutes, right? Like prioritize that. The other thing is it can't be where you are currently sitting doing what you're currently doing. You need to get up and move to another space. So if you sit at a desk for work and you need 10 minutes of creativity, you go sit in a break room and doodle on an adult coloring book. I don't care.
Or go in your car, even if you're at work.
Go sit in your car, whatever. Don't doom scroll on Instagram like the rest of us.
Take your 10 minutes of doom scrolling and put it towards creativity.
Exactly. Yes. Exactly. Yeah. So whatever you need to do, even if it's just listening to this episode on your commute, like there's a lot of people that do that. They're like, I love starting my Tuesdays with this, that's your Tuesday, creative moment to get inspired, hopefully by us or encouraged. But then like the other days of the week, there's your 10 minutes and you got to prioritize that. And I would say do it daily, especially Monday through Friday. It really needs to be a habit.
I mean, even start with and it's really like when you feel the water is high, but the more you do it, the more it will become a regular occurrence in your life.
Then the water's not getting so rapid.
Yep, exactly.
Spool School. So Spool School is a really fun segment we're going to do once a month, and it is all about a quick sewing tip, a hack, a lesson, something that we want to encourage you to do that's obviously sewing related. We may highlight something, a technique. We may give you a troubleshooting tip. Audra and I each bring a different one to the table based on probably whatever we're passionate about in the moment or what's top of our mind. So we hope it helps you. But if you have a Spool School sewing tip or hack that you want to share, please comment on our Facebook group on the thread for this episode so that you can share that with our other listeners. But Audra?
Not all double-sided basting tape is created equal. And this came about, I was doing some cleaning out of my sewing room and I found some double-sided basting tape and I wrote in Sharpie on it, like, do not sew with in your machine. It was so double-sided basting tape, for those of you who don't know, is really great, especially when bag sewing, like for zippers and stuff. It's usually a very nice 1/8 inch or 1/4 inch wide, sometimes 1/2 inch, but you really don't need 1/2 inch. 1/8 inch, 1/4 inch. And it'll keep everything in place. You can sew through it. And it is just wonderful. But not all double-sided basting tape is created equal. For example, my favorite brand is no longer in production. So I'm still searching out a new replacement for my favorite double-sided basting tape. In the process, I bought some double-sided basting tape on Amazon. Yeah. Let's just say, if it's too sticky when you touch it, it is too sticky for your machine. So my tip here, and I'll kind of talk about this as we go on once I find one that I really like. I've got a couple versions that I'm testing at the moment from different manufacturers. But when you're looking at your double-sided basting tape, it should hold things in place like a nice tacking. It should not like adhere it together, because if it
should feel like a temporary hold, just because the point of it is just to keep, especially with thicker materials like leathers, faux leathers, vinyls, they're thick. So to help it hold in place and not shift as it's going under your walking foot, it, even with clips, it will still move. So to hold it in place, but if you don't use the right stuff, it'll gunk up your needle. So my tip of the day is change your freaking needles, people. I mean, come on. How many times do I have to say this? Like, okay, for those who don't know, this is one of my pedestals I love to stand on. And it's all because I love you guys, but you should be changing your needles every 6 to 8 hours of sewing. And if you're like, I don't know how long that is, if you have sewn a whole quilt, your next quilt should have a fresh needle.
Every
next project should have a
just every project.
If you're sewing bags and you're using any sort of double-sided sticky anything, you should absolutely change your needle every single time, because I can get through some of these bags, and I'm interested to hear about your basting research, because some of the tapes that I've gotten, even from some of the most popular references from other bag makers and pattern makers, have said like, oh, this is my favorite, so I get it. And I can't even get through a simple bag project before I have to change my needle, because my thread's breaking because there's so much sticky on my needle. And you can't clean that stuff off. Like, you just got to change your needle. So I'm curious to see what you say about that. But you want to have, if you want to set yourself up for success, have an enjoyable sewing experience, change your needle. And when I was in Sydney, I ran into this with this one lady. She's like, we were doing some embroidery. It was the last day of this 4-day conference where people have been sewing on these machines all weekend. And it's a free motion embroidery, which already puts tension on the needle to begin with and the thread. And her thread kept breaking. Everybody's using the same brand of thread. And she's like, it's the machine. It's the thread. And I go, can I change your needle? And she's like, it's not it. And I was like, amuse me, please? Yeah. Like, can I change your needle? Change your needle. Never had a problem again. And she's like, how did you know? And I was like, because we've been using these machines all weekend. They've been sewn on for more than 6 to 8 hours, and no one's probably changed this needle. So let me change the needle. The thread started working. Her stitches looked better. Where it's not the machine. It's not even your fault. It's just it's so small we forget about it. But there's people that have told me that they have not changed the needle since they took their machine out of the box and still has the original needle in it. And I am just like, it's a machine you've invested in. I don't care if you spend $100 on it or $25,000 on it. Yeah. You should be changing the needle, because it is one of the key components to your success and enjoyment. And if you don't want to have ugly stitches or breaking threads or frustrations,
the needle is the most important part of the whole process, which is why there's so many different needles out there, so many different sizes of needles. And it's just,
you know what? I made a really good needle guide when I worked at Singer. and I'm going to go see if I can find
Okay.
it.
Yeah.
And I'll upload it to our, I'll make a note. I'll upload it to our Facebook group so you can go download it, because it had a breakdown of different types of needles, when to use them, what types of materials or sewing projects. So it'll at least point you in the right direction, because there's so many people that just use a universal needle. And while those are great, it doesn't mean universal for all types of sewing. And if you really are serious about learning more, leveling up your projects, and diving in deeper to being a sewist and learning all these different things, needles is a big part of that. Just like learning the different types of fabrics and learning the different types of threads. So I will go find that.
And now it's time for You Love to See It.
Ooh, okay. I'll go first. All right, you'll love to see it. And if you follow me on Instagram or Facebook, you probably already have seen a lot of it. And I know my content hasn't been very sewing heavy lately, but I want to talk about it because I'm really proud of it. It was my trip to Sydney.
It looked amazing.
I went to Sydney, Australia. I had it was like 12 days. I had the most amazing trip of my life. I got to go teach at a sewing expo. It's like they call it a summit there, but it's like a conference. It was put on by one of the biggest distributor for Australia and New Zealand for Singer, Viking, and Pfaff machines, which is SVP Worldwide, who I used to work for. So I went as a contractor, and I taught on Viking and Pfaff machines, and I helped launch the Singer Momento cutting machine, which is a 24-inch cutting machine. Think of it as like a Cricut on steroids built for sewists and cutting fabric. It's amazing. So I got to go launch a new product for them, which I launched last year in the US for SVP. It was a trip of a lifetime. The people over there were amazing. I worked really hard for really long hours, but I had an amazing time. I taught 9 classes in 4 days. Some of those classes were 4 hours. Some of those were like a lecture on a stage in front of a whole auditorium. I did a lot of scary things, and I did them all by myself. I've never left this country before. I've never used my passport before. I've never gone through customs before. I've never been on a flight that lasted more than 5 hours, and my second flight was 16 hours. So it was a lot of firsts, and to do it by yourself is pretty scary. But I will say, while I had some anxiety and scary things like anticipations and some fears, they did not outweigh my excitement. My excitement just shadowed all of that, and is what pushed me forward to do this and have the trip of a lifetime. And after the event was over, I stayed by myself without my safety net of like the team. And I went to an Airbnb that I booked and stayed there for 2 additional nights and had like 2 full days to explore the city by myself and have some fun and go on walking tours with strangers and use the, bus system and the train system and the ferry system and figure it all out. And I need more of that in my life. And that's you love to see it. And then one thing that I did real quick that I've always wanted to do, but never had a reason to like pull the trigger. But when I knew I was going to go on this trip, I said, this is the moment to get this, because I wanted something to commemorate this huge milestone in my career. I mean, literally my passion and love for sewing took me halfway around the world to teach people. I mean, does it get better than that? Have I already peaked in life? I don't know, maybe, but I'm okay with that.
You're not even close to peaking.
Anyways, so I got I don't know if you're watching the video tutorial or the video tutorial. Can you tell I do YouTube too much? If you're watching our video episode, you'll see on my arm, on my right forearm. I know it's sideways, but
it looks awesome.
We'll post a picture of it in the Facebook thread, episode thread in the Facebook group. But I got a tattoo of a sewing machine, and the lady that did it, I found her by recommendation from another podcast that I listened to based out of Australia. And I reached out to their Facebook group and said, hey, I'm coming and this is what I want to do. And who can you recommend in Sydney? And a lot of people recommended her. I knew I wanted like a female tattoo artist because I just wanted a really feminine touch to it. And she hand drew this based off just some very basic like elements from different things that I had seen. And she hand drew it. It's her first time ever doing a sewing machine. One thing I like to point out on it, and you'll see it in the Facebook thread, is there's a flower at the top that comes down from the flower. It looks like a little thread that goes into the spool at the top of the machine. That thread follows all the way across the top of the machine, down the front of the machine. Like there's levers and everything. Through the needle, out the needle, comes around into another flower. So these flowers are meant to represent my birth month flowers. And then the beautiful machine. I mean, she got so much detail, all for just being line work. Like I am so impressed. It's not my first tattoo, but it's my first one that's like super visible when I'm just wearing normal clothes. And so I'm really proud of it. I really love it. It's still in the healing phase a little bit, still a little itchy. I'm not gonna lie. But I'm so happy with it. And I feel like I'm falling into my own personal era of realizing who I am and who being comfortable being myself and not what I feel like other people need me to be, and not present myself so polished and square, because I'm not. I'm pretty weird, which we've talked about. So anyways, that's my You Love to See It. My trip to Australia and my new tattoo that's sewing related. I mean, if you didn't know I love sewing at this point, now you do. I also will put this picture in the Facebook thread. I got to touch a koala. I'm just going to throw it out there. I got to touch his little fuzzy butt, and it is so soft. And he was just snacking on his little snack of leaves and let me touch his butt and take a picture with him. So if you want to see that, go to the Facebook group. 10 out of 10, recommend Sydney. It's beautiful. It's safe. Everyone's so friendly. I felt safer in that city. And I think they have like 7-something million people in that one city. It's a lot.
Yeah.
Okay. Stunning, gorgeous, beautiful. I felt safer walking around by myself as a 40-year-old woman than I do in Nashville, Tennessee, with 1.3 million people in Nashville. So 10 out of 10 recommend. If you can go, do it. And the exchange from US to Australia, dollar-wise, it's really affordable to do stuff when you get there. Like super affordable.
Yeah.
So anyways, if you ever want to travel tips to Australia, send me a DM.
All right.
What's your love to see it? Can you top a koala touching a koala's butt?
I don't know if I can touch. I don't know if I can top touching a koala butt. It was pretty cute.
Mean, it was pretty fantastic.
So my You Love to See It. I attended a cosplay trade show with Sally Tomato called Anime Milwaukee. It was great. The creativity that is shown in these cosplay costumes is just incredible. And that's not my You Love to See It. My You Love to See It is not the costumes. What I love to see is the acceptance of all levels of knowledge in all fields. So it was really interesting. We were having a conversation with a very experienced cosplayer, and she was saying that these cosplayers really have to be able to sew, make props, do makeup, make wigs. It's really a well-rounded arsenal of knowledge they have to have. And seeing these people walk around, all the tools. I mean, it's just, but these people are walking around and you have everything. You have everything from these like borderline Hollywood level costumes and props to one girl was walking around so proud of her prop that was covered in cloth and safety pins, and everyone equally was like, that is amazing. Good job. That is so cool. And it's just this equal level of acceptance of where everybody is in their creative journey. You've got beginners all the way up to near artisans, and everyone is accepted and enjoyed and celebrated and encouraged. And it was just so heartwarming to see these people just so accepting of everybody. It's so supportive, and everyone's cheering each other on, and everyone's there to learn. Like all the learning of all the sessions, like how to sew with electricity, how to solder, how to make a wig. everyone is a cheerleader for everybody else.
Yeah.
And it was just like
Yeah.
so awesome. And
Yeah.
everyone wants to help everybody else rise. And that is what I love to see.
That. I love that. I will say I kind of got that when I was teaching at that summit in Sydney. Like everybody came from different experiences and backgrounds. They weren't like I taught a whole tote bag boot camp, and in 4 hours they made a tote bag that had embroidery and quilting and binding and straps and all these other elements, and none of them had ever made a bag before. And they just like it was the perfect way for them to kick off their confidence into this summit. And it was just like they were all so grateful to learn. And when you approach people and meet them where they're at, it's amazing how you can see them just flourish right in front of your eyes. It's truly why I love to teach, because I meet you where you're at, and I want to support you and encourage you. And there's no right or wrong way to do it, as long as we get to the end, and as long as you tried. That's all I ask. And we don't even. I mean, you don't have to get to the end, but I'm just saying, like that was our goal, and we did, and everybody finished their bags. I just feel like we just need to have more kindness towards others. This is a fun thing. It's supposed to be, like we said, a place to de-stress, an activity to bring you joy, to remove anxiety, to be a happy place, a happy outlet. And we need to keep that at the forefront so that we not only do that for ourselves, but we create a space for others to feel that way. I would rather someone come up to me and say like, hey, I love your quilt, but have you ever tried this method? I like to, I just want to, I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but this is something that I like to do. It might really enhance, how you do your binding or how you do your stitching. I'm like, oh my God, that's amazing. I didn't even think of that. Thank you for teaching me. Instead of coming up and going, oh, I wouldn't have done it that way. I would have done it this way. I would have rather learned from your experience because then I would make me go, well, maybe I shouldn't be showing my stuff anymore. Maybe now I'm questioning my abilities, and maybe I'm not wanting to sew anymore because of that negativity. Like it has a huge impact. So be nice, be kind, be supportive. And the golden rule, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all.
There you go.
All right. So what's coming up next week?
Next week is Joanne's. We got to talk about it.
I feel like I've sat on this and been a little too quiet since it happened in January. I get DMs every week about it. Every time they bring out a new announcement, I get asked about it. Us being on the inside of the industry and having worked directly with Joanne before, I feel like we have a point of view that some people may not be seeing or considering or even know about, being just from the consumer's point of view. We're both point of views. I have mixed emotions.
Yeah, same. DM us, talk to us in the Facebook group, leave us a review, like follow our channel, do all the things. Thank you so much for joining us again this week. We hope you enjoy hanging out with us as much as we enjoy hanging out with you. And we will see you next week.
See you then. Happy sewing.
Later. Bye.